Lecture 10740, Someone Who Gives Me a Hard Time. I didn't say you should be nice as you are learning from life's lessons. If you consider someone giving you a hard time as a learning lesson, then you are naive. You need to be level-headed. If you aren't comfortable with someone else treating you a certain way, then you need to express that discomfort to the person from the very beginning, exactly what is making you uncomfortable. Tell them you are uncomfortable from the very beginning. Suppose you mistook their behavior as a life lesson and did not protest for 1 month, and further again for 2 or 3 months. Then what happens? They will think you didn't object for 1 month and now you're showing displeasure. Let's say you waited for 3 months. That means you ignored the problem for 3 months, basically accepting the situation. Are you still going to protest after these 3 months? The reason why you feel uneasy with the situation from the beginning is that your study level hasn't reached the point where you can accept that situation. You should draw a line from the very beginning that you can't accept their behavior. Then what does the instigator think about the situation? They will say, "She's really tough," so they do not come closer. It is because your energy level has not developed to the point of being able to accept other people's treatment. Say no when you want to say no. You should only accept people that you can handle. If you consider everything that comes to you as your study, then as time goes by, a more difficult situation will come your way. A bad action usually does not start big. Only when the other person tolerates the initial bad behavior does the instigator step it up a notch. If the other person tolerates that, then the instigator increases the intensity of the bad action further. The other person kept tolerating the bad actions. He was being a nice guy. The person is bullied as much as they tolerate the mistreatment. Why? Because they were nice. Bullying occurs to nice people, but cool-headed people are never bullied because they are cool-headed. Cool-headed people do not tolerate bad behaviors from the beginning. The instigator thinks that's one crazy person, and they leave you alone. You have to leave that person because you two are not compatible. But if you are lonely and want some company and accept anybody as a friend, then you are in for trouble. If you feel that you can't handle the way a person is treating you from the get-go, and you clearly express that displeasure, then because you refused the misbehavior from the beginning, you will not have to deal with the mistreatment. For example, a husband physically assaults a wife. If the wife firmly expresses a desire to leave the marriage, if there's physical abuse, then the husband will not assault her again. The wife should say, "Hit me again if you want separation," and if he hits her again, she should leave him. We need to learn how to make demands. When starting a relationship, be clear about what you cannot tolerate. If you can't tolerate something, express the fact clearly. You have wasted 10 to 30 years of your life, and eventually you return to square one and are still suffering because of not acting correctly. We all have suffered very much because of this. So now it's time to understand this correctly. Another example, a husband curses. The wife needs to make a firm demand to not curse. Then the husband will not curse. But instead, if the wife does not stop the husband from cursing and say, "Why does he curse?" and she suppressed her dislike, the husband will now have an easier time cursing the second time. The husband couldn't curse elsewhere because people threw water at him when he cursed. Or they cursed back at him with stronger profanity, embarrassed him, and slapped him. The wife does not fight back, so all the cursing that he couldn't do elsewhere, he curses in front of the wife. We are the cause of creating bad habits. The wife was inviting the husband to misbehave, actions that he couldn't do elsewhere. Later the husband will protest, "You didn't say anything before, why make a fuss now?" If children misbehave, they should be corrected from the very beginning. If you tolerate their misbehaviors, then you created the environment for them to act badly, and it keeps growing. Later the bad habits grow to the point of you unable to handle them. Whether it's a Jungbub family member or anyone else who approaches you to become closer to you, make sure to draw a line when you see them mistreating you. Then they will not continue misbehaving toward you and will not become close to you. If they promise to try to correct their bad habits, then you can try to become close. However, if they break the promise and misbehave just once, then you should end the relationship immediately. Do you understand?